What's up, strugglers? Comic King here. Welcome back to another video. Welcome to my spoiler review for Superman 2025, written and directed by James Gunn. This was my most anticipated movie of the year. If you've been following my channel for the last kind of over a year, you've realized that this is my most anticipated movie. I cannot wait for it. This is the most excited I've ever been for a DC film since the Batman. Because Batman and Superman are my two favorite characters of all time. So this Superman, he means so much to me. But yeah, I finally saw the film. I actually saw it a week ago last Tuesday. I had early prime screenings for fans for the movie last Tuesday. Saw it. I really liked it, but my excitement levels were through the roof. I had to check it out again just to give y'all my full honest review on how I felt, just because I was so excited, had all these feelings, and I have some I guess you could say minor issues with the film. Super like nitpicky. It's just when it comes to Batman Superman, I am so nitpicky. But there's also like, you know, moments that I freaking adore in this movie. But anyway, it's not like the Batman was 2022 when the credits rolled for that film. I was like, man, this is an instant masterpiece. I could have easily given y'all a spoiler-free review right away. However, I wanted to see it a few more times, or wanted to see it one more time before I, could really dive deep into how I feel about the movie. Superman, did I like it or did I not? I freaking loved this movie. The first time I saw it, I didn't know how I felt, and then but after that second viewing, man, it's everything I've wanted in a Superman movie since I was like a little kid. James Gunn fully adapts with basically Superman right from the comic books, everything, all his morals, everything the character stands for, and it feels like just another episode of Superman the Animated Series, and he's basically brought that Superman to life. This felt like an episode of Justice League Unlimited with all the surrounding characters in the movie. But yeah, man, I loved it. The thing is, my biggest issue, I'll just go ahead and get the negatives out of the way. So again, spoiler heavy review. If you haven't seen the movie, don't watch this video, go check it out and then come back. But yeah, I guess I'd say my biggest issue with the film is even after the second time, even though I loved it 10 times more the second time I saw the film, I'm not a huge fan of how his parents, his Kryptonian heritage, and Jor-El, the Els, were evil. I don't know if they were incoherently evil, or, there's a lot of talk going around. It's like, were they evil, or is this just how their culture was in the House of El on Krypton? And if that's, it is a pretty big choice what James Gunn did with the Els in this. I know they wanted to do something different, but James Gunn, the entire time since they announced this film, we're going to launch the DCU, this film is proactively doing that. You figured that he would just straight up do the comic book and all the lore and heritage that comes with the character of Superman. And that's why I felt like Gunn would basically involve all of Superman's history from not just the comics, but movies. Because, you look at the Christopher Reeves, even Zack Snyder with Man of Steel, the opening of that film, the Jor-Els and his Kryptonian heritage is a big part of that character. Now, I know they were trying to give us something different, and he probably wanted to change one little thing just to kind of adapt. I don't want to say adapt to modern audiences, but give us a fresh new take. However, I feel like the movie itself, just compared to every single Superman movie we've had, is so incoherently different and comic booky that you didn't need to do that. Now, I understand he was wanting to have Lex Luthor set up and frame Superman. He was adapting this element from Superman Birthright by Mark Waid. And in that story, Lex basically uses the public's knowledge of Superman's backstory when it comes to his Kryptonian heritage against Superman with, basically he makes these giant monsters, kind of like the kaiju we saw. He makes all these people, these henchmen that have been affected by Superman and his, vigilante acts saving, just basically public damage from him trying to save everybody. He hires them to be in his Lex, work for LexCorp or Luthor Corp in this movie and wear Kryptonian-related suits and cause havoc on Metropolis, saying that they were from Krypton. Now, that works for that story. However, Lex Luthor basically manipulates Superman's backstory into achieving what he wants. However, in that book, it's obviously not true, and the public ends up finding out about that. So when they drop the reveal that, he got this footage from the Els in this film, and he's using that to basically frame Superman, I thought him and engineer tampered with the footage. That's not how it is. But no, they never address it again. Now, maybe there's a deleted scene out there, and again, I'm being nitpicky. That bothers me, but in the overall scheme, that doesn't really, affect my enjoyment of the film, if that if you get what I'm trying to say. I don't like how the elves are evil, because the heritage, that plays a huge part in Superman's lore and backstory, but not just Superman, every Kryptonian character. Like, you look at Supergirl, how are they going to do Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow next year? Because if you've read the Tom King book, which I've reviewed on this channel, go check that video out. Zor-El and her backstory plays a huge part in that book. And the thing is people don't realize she wasn't shipped off like a baby like Clark. She grew up to about 15 on Krypton. So it's just like, does she kind of hide that self from Clark? Does she know about what they did? Like, how are they going to do that? I guarantee you they'll address it next year in the Supergirl movie. It's not what you think. And I bet they'll either doctor it to be like they're messed with the footage, or maybe that's just how Jor-El and Lara were, not Zor-El and the rest of the family. But I'm interested to see how they do. I guarantee you that plot device is not finished being explored yet with the Superman projects and character development that Gunn has coming our way. But I'm interested to see that. But anyway, that was my long rant on that. Really, that was my only issue with it. Dude, guys, this is peaked. James Gunn freaking peaked, man. For a long time, The Suicide Squad was my favorite thing he did, but I think this topped that. After that second viewing, the first time I saw it, it was around a 7 out of 10 for me, but after this, man, it's at like 9, 9.5. It'll probably end up being a 10 out of 10 for me, or 11 out of 10. Crank it up with that freaking Superman theme by John Murphy. The electric guitar. Freaking awesome. But yeah, I think it might end up being my favorite Superman movie of all time. This is one of those films, I have the same feeling about this that I did for Deadpool, Captain America Civil War, even Man of Steel. The first times I saw those, some of those movies are considered some of the greatest comic movies of all time. The first time I saw those films, I was like, yeah, I liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but I liked it. But each time I watched it, I liked it more and more. Now I love it. Deadpool is one of my all-time favorite comic book movies ever. Now Civil War is my favorite MCU movie of all time. The more and more I watch that movie, the better it got, and it ages so well throughout the years. I think it's going to be the same case for this film, because this is how I compare. I guess, we can't not talk about this movie without talking about Zack Snyder. I'm a Zack Snyder fan, but I'm not part of the Snyder cultist. It's just like, if you're a fan, you gotta respect the past, but embrace the future. You know what I mean? Because overall, even if I like a particular director's take, or an Elseworlds take, or what specific comic book writer's take, or anybody's take, at the end of the day, even if I want those things restored, I'm a DC fan, a Marvel fan, through and through. So what that means is, like, yeah, it sucks that Henry Cavill didn't get to have a shining moment post Zack Snyder's Justice League, but even then, I'm just excited we're getting a new Superman movie, because even though I like Cavill, I'm a Superman fan more than I am a Cavill fan, if you get what I'm trying to say. But yeah, this movie, oh my god, that second time, I'm going to be going to see it again this week. I guarantee I'll probably see it a fourth time. I love this movie so much. The action is fantastic. Is the action better than action in Man of Steel? No, there's amazing sequences in this film, but there's still that, that Dragon Ball fight-esque kind of fight scenes in Man of Steel. However, I guess if I had to pick another issue with the movie, which, again, I'm nitpicking, like, I freaking love this movie. I feel like the movie could have been a little longer. I guarantee you there's deleted scenes. They probably, just to give it an ass audiences, they'll cut it down. But, the movie's going to blow up. It's going to be hella successful. It's already making a crap ton of money in the box office. I think we'll probably see those scenes someday, if not a director's cut, right? But also, I guess, another thing that's different from this, man, so this is much more of just a boots on the ground Superman story. We're with him, we're with Clark. This is comic book Superman. It's like you open up just a random comic book, or you sit down to watch a random episode of Justice League Unlimited. You're thrown into the story. This is what that movie does. It has, dude, the opening sequence in this film, the credits, the music, it is, oh my god. It brought tears to my eyes, man. But yeah, I guess one thing you could say this movie's lacking compared to Zack Snyder's movies, or Man of Steel in particularly, is that he was much more going through the modern mythology and adding a god-level aspect to his films. That these characters, Batman, Superman, the Justice League, are bigger than life, right? And so those films have kind of like an epic scale to them, really, really high stakes. You look at Man of Steel, this is like a, modern mythology epic. You look at Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's like Lord of the Rings, but with DC characters. This film doesn't have that, but it works because it's just a Superman story, and it's the beginning of the DCU, right? Metahumans already exist. Where you look at the Snyderverse, even though there were a few, Wonder Woman, there's a few people getting powers around the same time as Man of Steel, the metahumans started popping up after the Man of Steel event in Metropolis, right? In this, metahumans have already been going on for 300 plus years. Like the JSA, I guarantee you, there's also an Easter egg in the Hall of Justice. If you look, you see some JSA characters. It's freaking awesome. There's been a lot of superpowered beings in the universe before Superman showed up. But other than that, man, like, it doesn't really need it. And yeah, guys, I love this film. It's kind of how I compare the Batman and the Dark Knight. Like, the Dark Knight's my favorite film of all time, but like, as a Batman fan, I think the Dark Knight is the better film, where the Batman is the better Batman movie. You could argue, I'm not saying it is, you could argue that Man of Steel is the better film, but Superman is the better Superman movie. Does that make sense? Those two, you know, people are just going to compare. I would say you don't need to compare. They're entirely two different films. People, you know, Zack Snyder, James Gunn, were going to complete opposite directions, trying to do their own thing. And I love them both. I like Man of Steel and what Snyder did with his trilogy, because it's a very Elseworld style take. You know, it's an Elseworlds take of the DC universe. Where one thing I'm so excited for Gunn, and that's why I guess the L thing bothered me for a bit. But you know, that's not a huge issue, because I bet it serves a purpose for future projects. But that's why I'm so excited for the Gunverse, because he's just doing the comic book. You know, they're doing prime Superman, and this is the Superman I've wanted forever. Let me get to the cast. David Cornsweet is amazing, and he might be the best Superman, man. I even say top Christopher Reeves, because it's like, it's got the Christopher Reeves-esque feeling, but also brings the comic book elements and the serious tone and action and weight and heftiness and look that some of the Snyder elements had in Man of Steel, and kind of combines all Superman's history together while at the same time giving us something new and fresh. And that's why I just loved it. But yeah, this is gonna be prime Superman. David Cornsweet's amazing. And I'll just say this, hands down, best Lois Lane, hands down, best Lex Luthor. Dude, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor is like, oh my God. Is he Clancy Brown? No one will be Clancy Brown. It's like, no Batman will be Kevin Conroy, the Joker will be Mark Hamill. But like, this guy is the best live action Lex Luthor we've ever had. And I cannot wait to see him in future projects, especially given that if he's doing, you know, gonna take a lot of inspiration for All-Star, have Nicholas Hoult keep doing what he's doing, but you know, he goes to prison, he gets jacked, he's just freaking fucking, he's getting the power.
Can you imagine a better world, Kent? That's all I've ever asked. In a world without Superman, the unattainable Lois Lane might have noticed good old Clark pining away in the corner.
You keep talking about me, but I'm here to interview you.
If they wanted to end this universe, you know, 10, 15, 20 years from now, that last Superman movie should be just straight up All-Star Superman and have Lex and Superman just face off final. Oh my God, that would be insane. But yeah, guys, go out and see this movie. It's peak. You know, me as a Green Lantern fan, I have to talk about Guy Gardner. Nathan Fillion is amazing. I want him to be Green Lantern for so long. He's actually my fan casting for Hal Jordan, because he voices Hal Jordan in the animated movies and the DCAU. But you know, I'm just happy to see him on the big screen. The thing, but at the same time, he plays a fantastic Guy Gardner, and it's just so happy to see Green Lantern getting the respect he deserves. And I cannot wait for Lanterns. Other than Superman, that is my most anticipated project for the DCU going forward. But yeah, guys, go see Superman. After that second time, I freaking loved it, and this might end up being one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. It might be there right behind The Dark Knight, The Batman, Spider-Man, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Superman. Like, it's that good. It gets better and better every time I see it. It's topping so many movies. You know, for example, I like certain films better than this when I saw it for the first time, but after I see it, it just grows on me, man. The more and more I think about it, the more I love this film. It's going to be exactly like one of those movies I talked about at the beginning of the video. But yeah, strugglers, happy Superman week. I figured I'd wait till Monday today to talk about the film, just to give y'all a chance to go see the movie if you haven't. But go see it. Check it out. This is what we want, guys. We want the DCU. We want the respect that DC fans, we've been demanding respect for a long time, and just amazing content. We need that. Go support this film if you want to see all that projects. Because guess what? As amazing as this movie is, if it doesn't do so well, man, all those amazing projects I got announced might not happen. So go see go see and support this film. We need DC right now. DC was we support this movie, everything that they're cooking up. The DCU, it's finally its own studios. We could probably hopefully get something really, really special in the years to come. But yeah, strugglers, go see this movie, support it, go watch it. David Cornsweet's amazing. Be a Superman fan, wear your Superman shirt, wear your cape, wear your getup, go see it. But yeah, strugglers, thanks for tuning in and watching another video. Strugglers, true believers, don't forget to like, subscribe, keep reading, and get the pump. I'll see you later. Ow.